I really miss when politics did not interfere with our day to day lives. Like, sure, politics have always kind of interfered with our day to day lives, but I just think with social media, there's this rise in black and white thinking. And so instead of a person coming on and sharing thoughts, especially within the space of commentary, it automatically has to be like politicized. And we have to say, well, this person is coming from a conservative talking point. And instead of actually really engaging what it is that this person is saying, I think that we typically come into the spaces of commentary to argue and to debate. I think that we want to be validated, especially when we see someone who we may perceive to be a little bit more intelligent than we are. And I think when it comes to intellectualism, we're living in a day and age where right now that's the space in which people are capitalizing on, right? Like, so at first it was Christianity, right? You've seen all the rise and all of these Christian content creators, and it was podcasting, then it was like motherhood. And I think when we start talking about academia and intellectualism, obviously we know that intelligence is a spectrum, right? Like, you can know some things and not know all things, right? From an institutional standpoint, we know that some people have been robbed and cheated because typically within the institutions, it's specialized knowledge, right? So you only know one specific thing about one specific thing. And even still, that is sort of like, guarded, right? So there is this authoritative figure, which is your teacher, right? So we know that like the pedagogy of the knowledge that is being taught within these institutions is not very diverse, okay? And it's not, in diversity, it's not really welcome, right? You can't come to your professor and say, hey, I read a book on this subject. I want to kind of share my thoughts with the class, or perhaps introduce a new perspective, right? It's like, no, you're going to shut your mouth. You're going to follow this PowerPoint. You're going to read pages 1 to 14, and you're going to answer the questions. So I think when people meet persons who have a diverse body of knowledge, it's like, I need to argue with this person. I need to double down with this person, because I just think we're living in a day and age where a lot of people sit online and obviously compare, right, from a very like surface level. But I also think from an animalistic standpoint, we're moving into a digital age. We're moving into a technological, future, right, of innovation and technological advancements. And I think from a natural selective standpoint, biologically, if you can't transgress, then that means that you are going to regress, and you're not really going to be able to, be in certain spaces, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think on some human organism, like fundamental level, I think there's a fear. And I think that fear breeds this like instinct of survival. And I just think for some people, if you haven't birthed those skills, right? Because we're living in a day and age now where you actually are using your mind. Like, you're no longer using your hands. Regardless of how we try to argue, hey, go to school to be a plumber, which I, debate this all the time, because I'm like, when's the last time you called a plumber? But we're never going back to that type of laborious,